DreamHack ASTRO Open is brought to you by ASTRO, Monster Energy, Corsair, Zowie, and Intel.
Welcome back to Valencia, Spain. As you can see, we are surrounded by beaches, sun, palm trees, but none of that matters right now, not to us. All that matters is that thing right there, the trophy, the DreamHack ASTRO Open Trophy here at the Feria Convention Center. We are on game number 3. It is Misfits versus Heroic. We are back here on the analysis desk. My name is James, and I'm joined by Vendetta and Jacob. How are you guys doing? You enjoying the day so far?
Yeah, had a fun game 1, and I guess as expected game 2, but still, encouraging to see that CLG are still, doing work and putting in the necessary effort to make it through. So excited to see this match as well. I mean, these are actually 2 teams who have played each other as well, similar to what we had with CLG and Energy.
So we go into our second match of Group A. Misfits versus Heroic. Let's talk a little bit about Misfits first. Oh, actually, before we do that, let's have a look at how this group is shaping out so far, as we did see KPI Gaming go through to the winners match, which surprised all of us. Envious have gone down into the elimination match. So the winner of this goes up to play against the Spaniards, which is great, because I can't wait to see this crowd for that one as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, well, you expected this, obviously.
Oh, I did, yes, of course, always.
But for us mere mortals, it was a bit of a surprise. But yeah, it's a great treat. And obviously, and again, you don't want to take anything away from what KPI did versus Envy. But obviously, if you're Misfits and Heroic, it just means all that much more to get this first win. And potentially get, I mean, still, even though KPI beat Envy, I think, 9 out of 10 times, you still side with Envy for that matchup. So for Misfits and Heroic right now, they're eyeing a golden opportunity to just get past, skip day 2, go right into semifinals. That's really the goal right now. Because if you can go up, if you can beat Misfits or Heroic, whoever beats each other, I think that team has to be favored going into the winner's match.
How do you feel about this one, Jake? Are you excited for this one? See Heroic come up against Misfits?
Very much excited. Like, we saw them last time play each other at DreamHack Tour. I think we were both there. And it was like interesting, because back then they had Valde on the team, Heroic, and that was, I believe that actually was the last official match they ever had with Valde, because they decided to change or bench him or whatever they did after that game, which Misfits eventually won. And back then it was a surprise. It was like a Misfits coming out of nowhere with Peacemaker as a coach, and all of a sudden, like, you started to believe in Misfits, and okay, they can do well. And then they go back home from a fine DreamHack Tours, and they change Peacemaker the coach, they change Shashan the player, and then Shashan comes back, and it's like it's been a clusterfuck, to be completely honest.
It is what it is. Straight, it is what it is. And I think that's, you mentioned, you watched the America's Minor as well, and one of the big storylines there was the fact that Shazam, who for the better part of, I think I'd say last 3-4 months for Misfits had been their best performing player. So benching him before you go up against probably your most important tournament of the year up to that point just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And obviously, right after the bomb out, don't qualify for the minor or major qualifier, he's back in the lineup, and I guess things are back to status quo in many ways.
Yeah, do you think it will be? We saw them perform decently at Tour before with this lineup. That might actually be the last time that we saw this lineup, I believe.
Sean got married and everything.
Unofficial. Yeah, so Shaw, we missed an event because Shaw missed an event, then we have Shazam missing an event. First time with all 5 on the lineup. It's quite exciting to see that.
Yeah, especially because they had a pretty positive trajectory as well when they first made the change, which is first off very random to bring in 2 French people from a tier 3 French team to bring them over to the States mid-season for Pro League and everything. But it kind of worked out. Both the newcomers to the team has actually performed pretty well. I actually really enjoy watching Amanek play. I haven't been that sold on Debuduvek up till this point, but so far, they seem to be meshing really well. They have much more defined roles than what the old Misfits roster have, which is great, and you can see that paying dividends as well for them in a big way. And I think that's why we're seeing more and more promising results. That's why we saw such a solid showing from them at Tours as well, beating both Heroic and Na'Vi. And I think that's something they can build off of. And Sean is kind of a mastermind in actually just getting the most out of his players.
Talking of Heroic and then beating Heroic, they are going up against Heroic now. So let's have a look at that team first. Heroic are there on stage getting ready, as we can see. run us through each of these players. We've spoken a little bit briefly about all of them. There's Estag, who has come in to replace Valde. Let's have a look at these players one by one.
Yeah, from left we got Estag and then Nico, which is kind of like one of the hard hitters for Heroic. Like he's one of the younger up-and-coming riflers. He's been playing very well as of lately as well. Snappy, the in-game leader. Known from the 1.6 scene, has been there for quite some time, and then broke through the CSGO scene on a team together with Glaive 2 years ago, probably, Copenhagen Wolves. And now he's like with Heroic, and he's kind of like the stone man for Heroic. He's kind of like the backbone for that team. Two last players is another newcomer, Jugi, a little guy who's insanely fast with the AWP, also coming out of nowhere for half a year ago. And then the last guy is Muddy, the Swedish ingredients to this Danish-based team.
Came out of nowhere.
Came out of nowhere. No, he's been playing for like the last 8-9 years, I think. And he's like this ultra aggressive. Probably the most momentum-based player in the entire world. You know, when it's going for Muddy, it's really going, and when it's not going for Muddy, he's usually it's just full stop, and that's like one of the things with Heroic. You know, he needs to get going, and then we can see a Heroic end up winning this tournament. But if Muddy is not turning up for a tournament, then you can see a Heroic like just crash out. You know, so it's still a very new team. They still got Estag in. I believe it's 2 months ago now. So they're still trying to figure out where he needs to be placed, and they're still trying to figure out where Muddy is most useful and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of it's tough to say where they're at now. Yeah, testing grounds, and they're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, no, but they definitely have the individual firepower just amongst the team. We've seen the top level of all these players is extremely high. I think oftentimes when you talk about Heroic, in the past it was often Nico, Valde, but now it's oftentimes Nico and Yugi. But that doesn't really detract anything from guys like Snappy, for instance. I think it's important to note the fact that Snappy by far has probably like 40% of the hours that most of the people he's competing against in CSGO as of right now, because of that extended break he had after the team with Glaive and so on. But he's still doing, at times remarkably well for himself in terms of just fragging power, which is not necessarily something you see all that much with in-game leaders.
We're going to move on to have a look at Misfits now as well. Across the stage, as we can see them getting set up there. There's Shazam on the left with Sick. They're all having fun, drinking that Monster Energy sponsor.
cheeky plug there.
Cheeky plug. Run us through this team.
Well, so obviously starting from the left, you got Shazam, Sick, Sean Garris, currently not in his chair, Debuduvek, and Amanek, the two Frenchies, over on the right side. Last time Misfits played versus Heroic, it was actually Sick who came through massively throughout that series. Shazam as well, also playing a very, very solid series. But Sick has been touted as one of the bigger up-and-coming players than any as well. I haven't been completely sold on him as of yet. I thought it was more Twist when they were playing together that was the one who took the spotlight. But it seems like as time progresses, Sick is just becoming more and more of a complete player, and I think it's very beneficial for him to have an in-game leader like Sean to kind of show him the ropes. And I think it's just a matter of time before he kind of really gets a grip and finds that consistency that we always talk about with a lot of these young players that's going to rocket him to a different plane. But for now, I think they still have to rely more or less on Shazam and in my eyes, Amanek, to actually find that consistent fragging power.
It's really nice to see them bring in Amanek and Debuduvek from
Can you please pronounce Debuduvek's last name for me, real quick?
Hold on. Dobroslavejic.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah, close. I think that was close.
Debuduvek.
It's Debuduvek.
Yeah.
Fun pickup though, like bringing in two French players to an all-American team all of a sudden. It came out of nowhere. To be honest, I didn't know who these two guys were that well before they picked them up in Misfits, but we saw already in tours, I believe it's 3 months ago, how well they were playing and how skilled they actually are. And you talked to some of the French guys as well. G2 was there, and they like praised them for being talents and really great players. So it's great to see that it's actually possible for Europeans that are like haven't made it on the European scene to go to NA and actually I wouldn't say like skip a step, but take a step up the ladder.
Yeah, you've seen that with the UK and complexity as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. So here with Misfits getting the band back together, what kind of maps are we going to want? What are we expecting to see from this matchup?
It's actually pretty tough to call because Heroic, outside of Cash, which has been their permaban forever, they literally play everything. I think if I'm Misfits, I want to avoid nuke as much as possible. But again, you're going up against the Danish teams. Danish teams are just notorious for being very good on nuke. So yeah, there we see the Misfits ban already out early. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I think Heroic don't really have a preference going into this, that they can veto fairly freely and try to just take away most of the strengths that we see on Misfits' side more than anything else, because, again, they have a very wide map pool for not necessarily being like a tier 1 or a very high tier 2 team.
Yeah, there's always a difference between NA and EU map pools, right? But I suppose Misfits now, with like almost half their team being European, it kind of it doesn't matter as much.
I'd say so. Like Overpass is definitely a great pick for Heroic. Us Danes has notoriously been known for being great on Overpass, and Heroic especially. Snappy, when he was playing in Copenhagen Wolves with Nico as well, like they were good on Overpass, and it seems like Overpass has always been one of the maps in Denmark at least. You always have it as your first or second best map, you know, and same goes on for Heroic. So kind of surprised that Misfits didn't pick Inferno, but it must be because they're not confident in their own Inferno right now, and they're trying to play into their own strengths, which, like, if you're the better team, then yeah, it might be the wise move, but I see Heroic being the more skilled and better team here, so it's kind of sketchy.
Yeah, but I think it's actually pretty difficult to veto against a team like Heroic, because they don't necessarily have any tendencies as to what map they lean against. The only thing you know about them for sure is that they don't want to play Cash. That's it. Otherwise, it's fairly even spread. They're happy enough to play a map like Cobble. Again, we talk about like typical Danish maps. Cobble's always been a strong Danish map. Nuke's always been a strong Danish map. Overpass, it's just like Danish people are good at Counter-Strike. It seems like. So it makes it very tough to actually veto against if you're Misfits going into this. So yeah, I think it's more that down to the fact that Misfits not necessarily feeling too confident on Inferno. I think Heroic did play Inferno at Cologne, I want to say versus North, the 16-14 loss. I want to say that was Inferno.
Yeah,
I might be switching things up, but in any case, we know that Heroic, again, can play all of these maps, so for Misfits, they just have to try to find their comfort zone within, you know, that jungle that is the map pool of Heroic.
Yeah, so the time has come to put out into the world our predictions for this match. Yeah, first off, Vendetta, work down the line.
For me, I'm going to lean towards the Danes. Heroic, again, have showcased more at a higher level as of late. Misfits on their end, they haven't really had, as you said, you know, they haven't played a tournament with their full lineup for a while, due to you know, different circumstances. And I think Heroic just on average have been a very solid team. I don't think they're gonna mess this up.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for Heroic as well, trying to hit my first of this event. But it's simple. Like Heroic came into Cologne, and that was their like last big event of this year. They are not going to the major, so they were supposed to peak there, and they still bring on some of that form, and they did play well at Cologne. Let's not forget that they played up with North and the likes of that. So Heroic are most likely gonna win. And as said, like Misfits, it's been shaky for them, like with the whole coach changing, then Shazam in and out, and Sean Garris on a rating. You know, it hasn't been stable. So I firmly believe that it will be a Heroic win.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with the same one. Actually, I don't want to always. I'm not always going to go against you. It's not how I roll. I'm going to go for Heroic, even though I'm happy to see Misfits back together as the 5 that we expect. I'm a big fan of Estertag, honestly. I know he's new to this lineup, but yeah, I like him. He's a good lad. So
good lad.
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, even though we're siding with Heroic, it's not like we think this is going to be a wash by any means. And we saw that, you know, we've seen that already. You know, KPI has been able to create an upset. And it's not like Misfits haven't shown in the past that they can't topple, you know, very, very strong teams. So
I kind of want Misfits to win now, just so that Jacob goes 3 for 0.
Yeah.
0 for 3.
Why not?
No, I don't.
Misery loves company.
No, that. I think you've got this one.
I got this one.
Believe in yourself. Yeah. Let's have a chat with our commentators for this match. I believe we have them here. It's Lauren and Scrawny. How are you doing?
Oh, not bad, mate.
All right?
Yeah, I'm all right. No, I'm actually excited for this. I got to cast that North Heroic game, and it was on Inferno. And that's when Yugi got that ridiculous 3K, when he was like the back of the pillar thing. It was just in every highlight. The guy's an absolute animal. So yeah, I'm on the Heroic train as well.
Are you guys happy to see Misfits back together, Scrawny?
Yeah, I am. And just for the sake of being different, as you were able to prove earlier today, James, I'm actually going to side with Misfits on this one.
Really?
I'm actually thinking that this game is going to be incredibly explosive. I'm hoping it's going to be as close and as exciting as I have it painted to be. I'm just really excited to watch Shazam versus Yugi, because I think that at DreamHack Tours, when we see Misfits take down Heroic the first time around, that Shazam's op was ever so present. So to see that now again at a DreamHack after the rosters come back together, as far as narratives are concerned, Misfits all the way.
How about you, Lauren? What's your prediction?
Heroic. Look, as said, saw the Inferno game, watched McLean there. They're in good form. I think this is a good map for them as well. I think statistically it's still their best, even though I guess whenever I speak to any other Danish team, they're like, I still rate them as one of the best Danish teams on Nuke. Like we, speaking to like Astralis and any of the others, they're like, we don't even like playing them. We think they're like the whole deal on it. So they've got a really nice map pool, and I think this is a lovely one for them. I'd like to have seen Inferno, just because I'm a little biased, just because I like Inferno. But yeah, no, I think this would be very, very good. But yeah, I think the Orping's gonna be quite good fun, because we had a bit of a mismatch kind of battle, I guess, in the last game, with like the COG one.
Yeah.
Didn't see that like direct Orb v Orb battle. Peter was a little quiet, but between these two, I think it's gonna be pretty explosive.
Yeah, with that note, I believe the game is ready. So thank you guys. Take it away.
Thank you very much. Yeah, a bit of a game coming up here. I'm certainly looking forward to this. Any opportunity to watch Heroic is always very enjoyable. But then again, for me, Sean Gares was one of those North American in-game leaders who changed how I felt about the North American sort of scene, and the way his approach, his mental sort of fortitude coming into this, and the really careful way he likes to approach CS on occasion, very meticulous. I love watching that. You add in the firepower that he's now got there to work with. Very exciting lineup. Yeah,
I think that's the key, working with firepower. That's another thing that I like to kind of praise about Sean is his ability to put his players in the right position and allow for them to really kind of, shine to life. So they have the firepower now. They have that lineup behind them. And you'd like to think that, of course, that having this team now back together, they're able to kind of, further on the progress that they proved and accomplished with tours. So I'm excited across the board. I think that Amanek and Devadovic have been given a lot of space, actually, within Sean's unit to kind of do their own thing. And as Vendetta was alluding to, Amanek, most notably, has really had some rock star performances. So hopefully here today, we do get to see everybody putting up their best. But, I mean, Heroic themselves, I was actually a little surprised to see Inferno so close to the map pool, considering that of the 3 losses they had to deal with in Cologne, 2 of them were on Inferno. Now, of course, 16-14 versus North, it's a whole other beast.
Yeah.
So clearly they're not looking to shy away from that, which is nice, because to me it shows resilience. Despite their defeats, despite that heartbreaking loss, they're still more than content to play a team like Misfits on it.
Yeah, definitely. I feel that, when you're against teams like North as well, it changes a complete dynamic, and a lot of the other teams, because they play so often against each other. But we were just waiting on the knife round to begin. That's just going to be happening right about now. So guys, do stick with us. That is just going down as we speak. It's just a little second off from the normal timing on it. They're just going to get that one started. But yeah, and Sean Gares coming right back in off the wedding. Did you see the pictures?
It's disturbing how good looking this couple is.
I know, it actually upsets me. The genetic pool between Jenna and Sean is just unbelievable. But that aside, it did look like a lovely wedding. Speaking of Sean, he is the last one in this knife round, so he's going to be taking on Nico, and Nico wins it. So it will be Heroic to pick side. They'll be getting their choice on Overpass, which will be kicking off any second now. Last couple of second adjustments. So the crowd's coming back in. You all right, guys? Just chilling out there, having a nice time. Everyone's having a lovely time. It is like those convention centers here. If people at home are wondering what this sort of setup is, there's a lot going on. But you can see there's a crowd coming in. Most people just want to have a seat. If you've ever been to a convention, just want to have a little sit down. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Everyone's here to watch CS. There's lots of Heroic fans here in Valencia.
Not as many Heroic fans as there were KPI fans, though.
No, that was ridiculous. It was kind of strange to see that many gamers here that early.
Literally, I think like half of everyone in the convention just kind of started filtering onto this end of the room when KPI were taking their seats. Yep. And then even afterwards, they kind of stuck around. They were cheering with the team as the players from KPI kind of joined forces with that crowd. So I think that later on for the winners match, I mean, we heard it on the analyst desk, the fact that they could actually walk away from this group with a 2-0 start, because I think that they had themselves the harder group. And with Envious being bested already, it's an upset.
Definitely is. And while they get those last couple of seconds in, see what the players are up to. They are just chilling out themselves. So Shazam is the man you're keeping your eyes on then?
Yes. I think that I mean, we kind of talked about how Peter and how Kusta have kind of, put themselves at the forefront of these North American oppers. I think that Shazam's a bit of a sleeper pick. He could, on certain days, arguably be one of the best oppers, maybe barring Skadoodle, who's just ever so consistent nowadays. But it's up there. I think that he has the potential in him, and I think that there's just something that clicks very well between him and Sean Gares. I think that's why we see Sean now use him again. They had that stint together on Cloud9, and now they're together once again with Misfits. So it just gels really nicely. I feel like Sean knows exactly where to position him so that he has the most impact possible.
Yeah, and the thing that used to impress me about Sean mostly, the man on your screen right now, is how he read opponents well. And we actually have two relatively tactical teams. If you put Sean in the position of how he kind of approached CS before, I haven't been able to see much of Misfits. It's mostly been North American Pro League, a couple of events here and there that I just wasn't at. So again, I haven't had that first-hand experience. But if he plays the way he used to, he has that mentality, we're going to see a very exciting game. Snappy as well, incredible mind for CS. And then you got Firepower. Nico, he doesn't do that name any shame. Even if he may not be the main Nico, he certainly puts up numbers. Yugi is phenomenal too once he starts feeling it, but we are seconds away from starting now. Both teams are ready. It's time to play some CS, boys and girls. Heroic up against Misfits, and Misfits already have a very clear plan in mind.
Yeah, straight to that B bomb site with 2 smokes and more utility to play off of, but it's full Kevlar to the CT side, and Nico immediately taking 2 headshots. Yugi's gonna find himself the 3rd. Quick work of this T-side pistol as Shazam is all that's left. And he's left wondering, where did everybody go?
Yeah, that was either complete read from Heroic, if they've been doing their homework, don't know if they have, or just a really nice gamble stack. And it's so nice. Now, anything's good for Shazam, but unlikely, and it looks very crisp for Heroic. Not only were they in the right place, I think it was the boost from Nico, I can imagine, to be able to kill those players there. Yeah, we'll see it now. They had 4 players here from the very offset. He almost came off it as well. You could see him almost for a second backing away, but taking out those 2 players, there was utility lost, everything kind of spiraled out of control. Lovely positioning early on from basically the entirety of Heroic. Good spot. Now, we'll see if they can keep doing this. Misfits again, back in on the buy. Tech 9s, bit of utility to play with. There's still plenty of danger up.
Immediately at the bottom of the connector is 2 players, Devaduvic and the Bomb Man. That's Sean. Leaving Amanek over towards B. Sick and Shazam to head out over towards the A site. Just, clearing out their corners, making sure that Heroic aren't getting too aggressive, and honestly they're not. They've given up the entirety of this map. They're just sitting contently within the bomb sites, jump peeking, spotting, and waiting for Misfits to reveal their hand. And when they show that hand, it will include, of course, the single smoke, double flash, and even a decoy with these Tech 9s to close the distance.
But I really like this positioning from Heroic. They've got 1 man basically dedicated at the moment towards B. And then the rest just going to play off the back of it, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, 4 players, even though 2 of them are on that kind of upper side watching over, they're very quick rotates here. Boost comes in, they're having a little look. Shazam lining up 1. Goes off. It will probably be not necessarily the first in, but he wants to make it awkward for Nico. That's his job, and he succeeds and even furthers it by getting the kill. Now there's plenty of opportunity, but Yugi stands tall, will not be moved. It's his bank, it's his money. Finally gets taken out of there by Sean Gers, and Six got himself a rifle as well, but couldn't quite use it as well as he'd imagined. 2 players now stand to lock this one down.
Ooh, Shazam with 1 deagle frag, but Snappy's all too quick. And it's the retake from Heroic. So nicely done in order to kind of offset those players within the bomb site, but as you alluded to, that rotation was already right there. The CTs just had to actually get themselves back into the bomb site, and they really didn't give much room for Misfits to play off of, despite the bomb plant. I mean, we see Sick retrieve himself the M4, tries to duel versus Yugi, and he is bested. So had he gotten that frag and then maybe repositioned himself towards the APC, it's a whole other ball game. But that's not the case, because Heroic were just so quick on that offensive. So 2-0 the start, but Misfits not willing to go down without a fight. They reinvest into not only pistols, but a nice chunk of utility.
Maybe just a feeling that they've got of how they've approached it so far, but Heroic are now going a little more aggressive. You've got to be a little careful there. You don't want to get yourself caught off when you've got 5 rifles up as well. So play through underpass, maybe try and make a pinch somewhere, get a couple of guns away. Whatever you can do is good. It will hurt the economy of Heroic. They're a little lower for cash. Not the worst in the world, but just a touch. So you can see Yugi, Nico falling away from this. Maybe starting to feel that pressure building over by Toilets. You don't need that. You don't need to take risks on this sort of round. Make them play for that side.
Nice to see that they've already used a bit of that utility in order to section off the bathrooms. And then from here, they're just going to use that next wave of utility. So clearly a 2-layered approach towards the A bomb site, but it is going to end the very same way with Yugi trying to hold off the offensive. But nobody coming in from long. Misfits just single-handedly pushing in from bathrooms. The fire keeping them back for the time being, but Yugi tagged down to 6. Maudi's got the cross, but he and Nico both removed. Amanek with a 3rd, Devaduvic the 4th, and all of a sudden these pistols have destroyed the defense of Heroic. EC tag left on the opposite side of the map. He's gonna tuck tail because Misfits just upset with pistols.
I don't know how the hell Heroic let them get that close to the site. They brought those pistols right to the door where they can pretty much become the best they are. And of course, they landed the shots like absolute animals. Now, 5 alive for Misfits is outstanding. If they can get this final gun away, even better. But for them, this is a great success. You are not expecting to win this round if you're them. So you can see the hunt continuing. Tag just trying to stay alive here. And this was a very heavy investment from Heroic. Their money is not going to be great at all. Look at this, swings and roundabouts here. You do not often win this round if you're Misfits. You don't often see the money put in this position if you're Heroic either. You normally keep these rounds in check. But the amount of dinks that came out, look at this. Every single shot was just obscene. Amanek there finding so much work.
Excellently done. I mean, you ask how are those pistols able to get so close, but I think it's the fact that they use those multiple waves of smoke grenades. The moment we see those smokes plume outside of bathrooms, Heroic's forward positioning is forfeited over. They just shy into the bomb site, and then those further smokes allow those pistols even closer to the point of which they cannot return. It is just the CTs to drop, and it's the CTs on pistols this time round with the M4 in the hands of ECTag. Snappy's got the ump. They have a couple tidbits of utility, but it's really nothing in comparison to the Misfits, who still hang on to that full 5-man smoke and as well the 5-man stack towards the A site. Amanek gonna bring up the rear as Heroic keep hanging on towards the bathrooms, but Misfits just going to avoid the fight altogether at this point. They're continuing this creep towards the A site.
Yeah, how often do you see stacks towards long on these rounds from a CT side? Almost never. Pistols just do not ring as true, but the Deagle can certainly do some damage. Good spot there. I'm pretty sure he's going to see a minimum 2, maybe more. It doesn't really matter at this point. He's seen enough. The flashes are coming in already. Tag has fallen, so Yugi here, with more than enough to handle on his own, has to back away for it. He's hoping support, but look at Amanek's positioning. It's brilliant. He can watch the push around the back. He's playing a very deep angle. He doesn't know he's safe from his right side either, so he's in literally the best spot he could be in for now.
Nice to see Misfits circumvent that fight so cleanly. I mean, all too often you'll watch gun rounds kind of walk into the bathrooms. I think that NRG was trying to exploit that common trend by putting all those players inside of the actual washrooms. But just walking out all of your players towards the A site, dodge the gunfight, get the bomb plant, and then force the defense to scramble. Sure enough, Snappy over towards Spawn's gonna be able to catch Amanek and upgrade his gun, but it is still the 4 versus 4, and Misfits will take this any day of the week. They walk away from A not only with a second round on the board, but still 4 weapons in hand.
So, for Heroic, it's a small benefit of having 2 guns kept, at least. That's for them not a bad thing, considering how poor their money was. This isn't the worst thing that could happen. At least they can put up a fighting chance in this round. Now, for Misfits, of course, their money is outstanding. It's about as good as you're going to get. So, I'm wondering if maybe an AWP's going to come out to play eventually. Not this round, not yet. Shazam still happy on the rifle. And Heroic not really able to invest in much more. You want to be eyeing up the buy as soon as you can. You still have 2 rifles to play with, Snappy and Nico on those. And there's Devaduvek towards Underpass to play this out.
Deagle of Yugi just trying to spot the cross on long, where currently 3 Misfits start to head over. But it's over towards the bottom of Connector that the CTs get most aggressive, sectioned off thanks to the smoke, but Devaduvik is going to put a couple rounds down range, deals some damage, softening Snappy. But that's both Snappy and Nico now retreating away from Connector. So it's cool to see both of those rifles try to take that forward stance, but then ultimately just fall back passively. So no loss here. Sure enough, you're able to at least keep an eye on Connector. Yep. You try to find that 5v4, try to make a play, and if you're not able to grab it openly, just walk away. Still can fight on bomb sites themselves, and that's what Yugi will have to do as he sees bodies towards long.
Pulling out minimum 2 now, sees all the pressure coming in. The molly just tickling over the back of that APC. Shazam's going to find him, but it's Nico who's still here. He could be a danger man. Trying to find an angle that he can operate with. Does have one, but Shazam beats him out, and then Snappy too. That's all the threat gone. That's the guns removed. And now, Misfits again get a plant, keep 5 alive. Their money is going to be disgraceful soon enough.
So many players tagged here from Misfits, though. You can't help but feel like Heroic want these fights. The reason they linger a little longer. EC tag, finding one. That's Shazam removed. So at least they know there's presence nearby, but this is a very nice off angle here from Madi. He's going to deal further damage, but no more kills are taken for the CT side. It's a cleanup from the Misfits, and now it is they who lead.
We should be starting to see the AWPs coming out now as well. The money's just back with Heroic, so I wonder if this is the right... Yeah, it is. Yugi's got the AWP already. Not seeing one yet on the Misfits side. Definitely could have fallen. You already got 8K on 2 players. Devaduvek and Sean could have dropped that over if Shazam needed it. He can afford it himself, bearing in mind, but maybe not yet. Maybe the 5-rifle approach is perfectly fine. Maybe that's something they're more than happy with for now. Yugi, though, looking to try and turn the table and bring the odds back to favor for Heroic by making a bit of a play happen for himself. He does have support to his right. He baits in the shot, hopes his teammate can now handle it. Nico does. Great stuff between them. That's the sort of cohesion you need in these teammates who play this angle together.
Great switch out. Nico falls further back. Amanek still trying to keep the B site honest, but this hasn't prevented Snappy from at least pushing up towards short. And ECTag's here to support. So again, one of these plays where the teammate's ever so close, it allows for them to play off of one another and puts them in a great spot, especially considering this 5v4. But now the entirety of Misfits going to gear up for the B site, heading themselves towards Monster. And again, Snappy can spot this. Yeah, this gets really troubling. Yugi could be a quick flank. Modi's waiting to jump off as soon as contact's made. The rotate should be coming in right about now. ESTag needs to buy time. Anything he can buy is brilliant. That's what you can do in his position. I doubt he's going to get a 3K or even 2, but we'll see. Here's Modi, though. Here comes the support play. You're down to 40 seconds. There's still time for it, but now 3 players are dedicated towards this site. They need a blinding shot to come through from one of those Misfit boys. Otherwise, there's going to be utility galore. ESTag still here. Yugi's landing shots. It's Shazam and Sean Gears, the 2 classics who just get swept aside. Finally locked out by Heroic. Some nice CT information plays. Good gathering from them, and a lovely opener between Nico and Yugi. Because ECTag's playing off of short as well, we see the entirety of Misfits just come filtering into the bomb site. The rest of Heroic are able to just keep their eyes in that direction and force them back. So here we have it. 3-3 the score. We've got another buy on the cards thanks to the cash flow from Misfits, and Heroic as well able to afford what they will. Now, this is the op duel that we had been hoping for. Shazam going to have his, and he shall move that over towards long. So these players preparing to pounce. Yugi from above.
Yeah, this could work really well. Nico's sitting anti-flash at the moment because normally you flash yourself into long. Here's the first flash. Nico turns it. Yugi's still there, so he's fine. He can fall off this. He won't take massive damage anyway. He might get legged if anything, and, before Nico takes the attention. But now they know somewhat of some presence here. Misfits quickening the pace a little. Smoke goes in. Six starts playing it out. They've got underpass control. This could be a nice hit towards B here. They've got decent map presence. No real hindering aspects at this point. Amanek flash goes through. No hit off the back of it, but you can see the sort of positions that Heroic are holding. This angle is lovely from Snappy.
Of course, at this point as well, Misfits hearing that op shot rain out from the long A side are not expecting it to be in heaven as of yet. So if they had just immediately geared into the B site, then maybe they could have gotten here before the defense is bolstered, but the CTs are already inbound. So ECTag's going to have to try and hold things off. He's got Snappy by his side, and 5 terrorists just starting to pummel into the bomb site. They want the short control. They want the water. Sean and Sick will take it. Off of the wall of smokes, the CT's sectioned out, and the bomb easily planted. Great execution, leaving Heroic down by 2.
Yeah, absolutely. There was nothing really left with Heroic to play back into that. No counter flashes. There's so much presence quickly towards water in the B site that it played very well. There's the boost as well coming in. You can see, I think there's Amanek being put up there. Spots out Modi. They've got 4 alive still anyway. Sure, they're a little low, but they're in good after plant positions. I doubt they'll get much play here. Back into it, Heroic, and no, look at Nico already. He's not having any of this one. But yeah, lovely take from Misfits. A little bit of a switch up. It's not quite that, quote-unquote patented Astralis style that everyone, looks up that YouTube video for and then does in-game, but very similar to exactly that. Modi's going to try and keep the costs down, but he's a little tagged up here. Will be able to stay alive on the HP he has, but yeah, overall, Misfits, very nice play. I love the instant push between the 2 players to get the control of the site, not leave anything up for grabs. It worked out, and then some. It keeps them in the lead as well at 3-4. Not really seeing the AWPs doing too much yet, but so far the executes, the heavier sort of site presence from Misfits has been perfect.
I really like that wall of smokes they used to section off graffiti as well. I mean, the 3rd smoke goes down on the heavens, so really just sectioning off Heroic before they could even put up a 2nd line of defense. Timing was key in that one, but it's Yugi yet again trying to play over towards Fountain. His attention gets drawn away, and Sean's able to hit himself the headshot. So Yugi down, Op as well, dropped from Heroic. So 5v4, and Sick alerting to assert himself, but he falls further back as now Nico goes down as well. This is just kills cleanly from Misfits.
You can imagine he'll be frustrated on the timing of that one, but great stuff from DreamHack, maybe just feeling it out, playing it through, and you can see the rest of Heroic maybe trying to play towards a little bit of a more of a tentative style towards that underpass. Snappy's close by. He could still wreak havoc on this, but he gets checked on. Good intuition from Sean Gers to do this, and DreamHack is the final punch in this one. And yeah, Stag, I don't know if he can handle 4 players coming towards him, but we're going to find out pretty soon.
Flashbang, smokes, all sorts of utility. Eastag wants to try and peek here, but he spots the head of Amanek, falls further back, does drop Devaduvic. The headshot connects, the double man peek yet again, clearing out the water, leaving Modi to drop himself the bomb. Now he frags it, and he's got the double flash, looks to re-engage here, but as opposed to going to Monster, no, thought about going all the way around, but the bomb plant has convinced him otherwise. So, single flash and a kit to play with in a 1v2 versus Shazam and Amanek.
Heading towards more Monster. Shazam's watching this. The flash did not find him. Shazam would have to miss this shot, or the timing. He steps away from this. Modi's going back through, but Shazam finds a further deeper angle and will lock it out in the end. So Misfits again starting to pile on the rounds here and keeping the money pretty low on the other side. Yeah, I doubt we're going to see much from Heroic, maybe buying down a little bit at this point, but they've got to come up with a plan because the Misfits are starting to run away with this. You're seeing that kind of 1-2 punch they can come out with, and it's working very well. Everyone's providing at this point.
Barring that $200 flashbang, this is a complete full save from Heroic, so they could easily just throw this one to the wayside, try and flash into Fountain, attempt some kind of a duel, and if there's nobody there, just redivert your attention to Connector and maybe find a close-range fight. So, meanwhile, we have Misfits just taking the B site by storm. Absolutely free is that execution. And at this point, Heroic, because they wait so long, they're going to come up empty-handed. The only player even close to this threat would be Devaduvic, and with this kind of an angle, the AK to assert himself, he should find kills aplenty.
Yeah. Continues just to fall back deeper. He can do this all day long until he finds an angle he's happy with. You can see them just leaping through. Oh god, that's swift. Yes, tag. Oh, and Snappy actually going to find the kill towards Amanek. That's a bit awkward. 34 HP now. Shouldn't get any more costly, should it? No. Modi hits a blinder. That's a couple of free guns. He can just hide one away and keep one for himself. That'd be lovely, but I don't think he's going to get the chance to really do much else with it. And to be fair to the Misfits, they have decent money overall anyway, so they're going to keep hold of the guns they have. Sean could hunt all day long if he wants to, but time's going to run out. And Modi, oh no, the timing. I don't know what he was expecting to happen, and now Sean gets the upgrade as well. So Misfits just taking it even further.
Using that AK doesn't help, but at least it is still 5 rifles on the side of Heroic. Enough utility to really work with, and still the double kit, so they've got all the tools they could ask for, barring the extended utility. However, there's no op, yet again, in the hands of Yugi. It's just Shazam with the cannon, and a chance to assert himself over towards Fountain is where Misfits head out. Sean Gers, yet again, just waiting for some kind of a peek, waiting for some kind of a push. But Heroic playing more passive than that. They're setting up Nico on the angle towards bathrooms. He's just waiting for, again, Misfits to arrive. Very safe play from Heroic.
I think they just want to find out if there's any quirkier plays in mind. They know there's going to be a lack of utility or a lack of something, right? So in the minds of Misfits, are Heroic going to try and do something to make up for that? Is there going to be aggression on the map somewhere? Is there going to be a stack somewhere? What's their plan to try and negate the huge deficit they have? Or Nico's blinded off that angle. Goes back in on it. That misses a shot. That could have been punished there from Nico, but careless almost from him. And now Sean Gers is right next to him. Behind, though, there are players keeping him safe. He's going to commit to this. He kind of has to just play the timing. In the smoke he goes. Nico, can you do anything with it? Flashes are coming out. He is completely blind and surrounded. Devaduvic is just on the other side. He spots the boat. What? Nico turns it right back around, but Sean Gers and Sick both win their fights. Therefore, that bomb site on A is looking very, very vulnerable.
At least they've got another player to the side of Prime, though. He's hoping that somebody crosses into the open, but Modi gonna actually catch Sean on site, and flashbangs preventing the push even further. Modi buying time for that flank from Connector. But now the bomb is on site and it's covered in the smoke. CT's just frantically trying to fight as Sick catches the headshot. They're down to 10 seconds.
Where are they going?
They need this plan. They don't realize, but now as they try to go back, Snappy drops it yet again and he clears it. So Heroic finding a 4th round. Aminek's all that's left, and he will win his fight at the end of the round, keeping 1 AK and an M4 as well for the side of Heroic. They win a round, but at a significant cost. They lose 4 players in the process.
I'm just confused why Misfits ran away from the site. I don't think they realized the time. They obviously, this is when they went back into it, but they stepped off and went back to the bathrooms. I don't know if they were thinking of just keeping the guns, if they were completely thinking they still had time for a rotate. I'm not sure. Whatever it was, it wasn't great, however, as Heroic do get one on the board, but their money is still super weak. They're down to UMPs, a FAMAS or 2. Bit of utility at least. Now, quick hit maybe towards Monster here. The flash is going to set up the play. Snappy drops in the smoke, but, well, no, he gets the smoke dropped in for him. It plays him in very well. Sees the shadow. Lovely adjustment on the second, but finally they get into this. Modi, though, has an angle to work with. He sees the planter. Takes down Sean, who just completely ignored barrels even existing. And now Shazam and Devadovic have to do everything.
Ooh, another headshot found. Devadovic dropped to 21 points of health. Shazam on the forefront, hoping for an angle, and he will catch Nico. Connects the op shot, looks for furthermore, but it's Modi to the right who gets flicked on. Shazam near 3, down to 11 health. He wants the kill, but he cannot take it. It's Yugi to win the duel, and Heroic to move to 5.
That second shot was beastly, but you give him the third, that I guess is a city. You could see the frustration on him, because that's one of the shots you kind of not necessarily expect to hit, but it's more likely than the second. But this first 2 kills going for Snappy, the adjustment there just to control it right on down was lovely. Smoke just a little late. If it was a touch earlier, maybe they could have had a play on that, but it's all about feeling, and Misfits 6-5 now, still in the lead. Yugi back with the AWP though, goes for a bit of an aggressive peek. Nothing there yet that he sees. They went a little bit deeper down through the playground and now work their way up towards Party.
It's Sick who's trying to catch himself an angle into the bathrooms. Yugi posted up and smoked off, revealing himself furthermore as he fires off some rounds, but then falls further back. I mean, he's just going to want to keep his eyes towards long A. It's Sean to catch Nico, again trying to push through that smoke. We saw him at least take 1 frag in the round previous, but this time he comes up empty-handed. Easy Tag going to allow the peek out, but Snappy holds his ground. He takes 2. Easy Tag trading it back and finding the man advantage for Heroic to try and hang on to.
Shazam and Aminek, again, these two are going to have to dig deep here. He does have smoke at least, so he can set up maybe something. But look at the bomb. It's in a real predicament. You've already got the rotate coming in from Heroic. They're going to be very close by to Shazam. He's going to have to try and get past this. He does get past the first test, but will he expect the second man there? No, he gets picked up. He went for a good go at it, but Yugi has been his complete nemesis so far. Not with the AWP either. They haven't really had an AWP battle. The CZ, the rifle prior, a little unfortunate. Shazam hitting some shots, but not the ones that truly count. A couple of moments you could have thought, oh, if that snap was a little bit quicker, if just hit that one shot. But I've got to say more than anything, it's Snappy with these sprays. His spray control has been beautiful so far. So I think he's top fragging at the moment as well, so that's kind of an interesting one. Between all the players on the server, he's probably not the one I'd expect.
Sean as well, topping the board for the other side, so...
Day for in-game leaders, isn't it?
Clearing out Connector yet again. Now, remember, of course, the round off of the smoke grenades and Tech 9s that Misfits are able to overwhelm the A site. They have done more with less already here. However, Nico is up close. And speaking of spray downs, with that M4, he can just clean up shop. The redeployment on the smoke grenade, gonna block things off for now, but there's still time to play with.
Hopefully he just doesn't go through the smoke again.
Yeah. Third time's the charm.
Nico, don't you dare. Here comes everything else, though. Good flash is close by, and he gets overwhelmed. This is a bit of a worrying situation. Yugi here feeling the pressure, but Modi has his back. They're supporting each other, and Aminek sadly has to do some incredible things to even just get towards the site. He does land a very nice shot towards Modi, but simply it's not enough. 7-6 now as we start closing out this first half. A very close game, something that most people on the desk and all of us was going to agree was going to happen. These two teams very, very good at the moment.
course, this is now 4 consecutive from Heroic, and to start this off, the 6 rounds from Misfits include, of course, that hard reset versus Heroic. So now that their cash is back underneath them, they've got those economic legs to stand on. They're certainly bouncing back. Yugi looking to jump into the fountain zone, able to catch Sean Gares, removes him at a distance. Shazam trying to catch the tail end of the retreat. His Molotov extinguished and vision blocked off, allowing for Yugi to fall back even further. Again, we see Heroic just preemptively smoke off bathrooms, and that's really what's afforded them these types of forward positionings. Even with Nico in that last round still kind of lingering towards the side of it, spraying down players on the entry. If it wasn't for those smokes, they'd have to play from the bomb site or risk getting picked. Either way, Heroic to the 5v4 and forward position on A. Again, players playing off of Yugi. Really nice to see.
If Sick gets his kill, though, Yugi would be very alone if they actually decide to go off this. But Nico hasn't really played this sort of position in a while, and you can see him trying to time it. He gets it done. He's going to be asking his teammates, did I get the kill? Did I get the kill? Because he was so blind as Yugi now waits for the rest of the hit to come in. And he knows it's on the way. Spots one. He sees a couple of the tracer fires coming out. Oh, misses a shot that I'm pretty sure he'd hit most other days of the week. And Snappy will be finding a couple as the flank comes in. And Heroic looking like they stabilized at this point more than anything. Maybe closer than they'd like it to be, but at least they have the money with them. They can start building up these rounds.
Yeah, and honestly, just momentum and confidence coming out of this half to start at 6-1. Excuse me, not 6-1. To start off at 6-3, obviously putting them on the back foot, and now coming in with a 2-point lead and maybe third. They're feeling all right. I think that Heroic are just doing a very good job of kind of hindering that A-site push long enough for the rest of their players to get behind them. The flanks are on point from Heroic, as is this connector control, but it's going to be Snappy towards Shortwater this time around, who will be tested. Flashbang fully blinds him, and Devaduvic up close will come out on top. So a 5v4 here for Misfits to play off of. Easy tag. Over towards the short side, gonna try to pinch into this play, and he does take one. Monty, again, just spraying bodies. Nico clears the last, and Heroic with that 3-point lead.
And they needed that too. For Heroic, it was a very, very tilting first couple of rounds. That hard reset against the pistols, that's enough to get you angry. That's what frustrates you as a team. You don't lose those sort of rounds if you're Heroic. You just went to Cologne, you're feeling good about it. You're like, okay, we can play in the stadiums. We don't lose pistol rounds against, Misfits. What's that? That's how you get into your head a little bit. But good recovery. But Misfits had some lovely ideas. Again, I'm impressed with what they're bringing. Just needs that a little bit more, but so far, a nice T side is what we've seen. We'll see how well they fare on that CT side. I wonder if we're going to get some aggression from these boys or what the plan is. Because Heroic, to me, at least when it comes into the maps that I know them a little better on, I guess your Infernos, your Nukes, these sort of maps, they are very good on T sides just purely because they're so tactical at it. They have a lovely, well-rounded approach. Somewhat similar, I guess you could almost say, to how Misfits tried to approach that, but we'll see if they can hinder it back and forth.
I think one of the other things that comes into play here at the end of that half is that Modi starts to put himself within gunfights. Not just, rotating down to the bomb site and then trying to, set up for the retake or to play bolstering the other players. He just throws himself into the gunfights and just kind of like Snappy is able to spray down multiple targets, if not getting kills, at least dealing significant damage. So he now is side by side with Snappy at 13 frags apiece. And then, of course, we have Yugi also to double digits.
Yeah, look at this. What is this play? Both teams completely running into an absolute massacre. Shazam at the forefront of it. But Modi, he wants to turn it right back around between him and Yugi. They're getting it done. But it's just Modi now in a 1v2. He at least has the bomb. He has a window of opportunity, but look at the positions left. We have Devaduvic, and we have Sick. Sick has good control. He knows that without that door being open, it's unlikely, but Modi is playing the mind game. He's playing the long game here. Devaduvic's just preparing himself. He's like, surely he's going to be coming this way, but the timing Modi is buying here is very nice. It offsets where you consider them to actually be.
Just raises so many questions. And unfortunately for Misfits, they have 0 answers. Modi lining up a smoke. That should...
Nailed it.
Whoops.
All intentional.
Tries to get the entry towards the site, at least peppers Devaduvic with some gunfire. Frag grenade back the other way. And Modi's just going to charge on through it now. Six trying to bring up this flank already.
Run B.
Ooh, good
call.
Do it.
30 seconds. He's not here. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that Sick is all the way behind him on the flank, but as soon as he gets a couple more steps, he might just peg it. He might just go, sod this, I'm going. But he's down to 25 seconds. He's got to make his mind up soon. He's playing the ultimate mind game. He thinks a little too far ahead of himself and eventually does fall. But that was a very, very hectic pistol round.
What a bloodbath in the bottom of Connector. I believe 6 kills in total. I'll just look at this. Massacre. And nice attempt by Modi to swing that back. Again, a moment where he just puts himself in a gunfight. Despite it frantically occurring, he throws himself into it, he takes the best he can, and he comes up with 3 frags there. And honestly, a near clutch. He played it out quite well. However, it just was not enough. Heroic into the force buy. They've got themselves a nice bit of utility. Can go for that 2-wave execution. Don't have to commit off of just the single smoke, but UMPs and rifles on the other side, Misfits should never lose this.
Molly's smokes going through. Sean on the other side of this. Here comes a step. He's going to hear it all. He tries to turn it, but above, boosted up. That was snappy, but there's another. He knows this could be another here. Sean now trying to be toyed with, but Yuki and Nico still get kills here. Now DreamHack needs to be careful. Overwhelmed. No, this is not a round that goes this way. How many of these pistol rounds are going to be turned around here? Nico going to find Shazam, and it's Amanek watching as it all crumbles around him. A 1v2 now arises. He should win the first fight. It's messy. It's sloppy. He's down to 5 HP.
Oh, he's going to try to use the flash to get out here, trying to create space, but he's desperate. 5 health. A single round takes him down, and he knows it. So he looks to re-engage. Of course, it'll take the headshot onto Nico. EC tag as well, just dropped ever so low. But no, he's going to walk away from this. So Misfits forfeiting the round despite that massive advantage of having the guns. I mean, Sean Gares gets pinched between both Monster and the short push. It was really Devaduvic who could have come up big with the FAMAS, could have stayed back towards Graffiti and kind of peppered his opponents. Yep. But instead, he just gets completely overwhelmed. So excellently done here by Heroic. They invest into just a couple of utilities, of course those pistols, and they make it work. Just great play into that B-bomb site, fighting players up close and chasing down these kills.
Surprising that Misfits let them get away with that, purely because Misfits were so good at doing it to them that you kind of think that it might just stick in the back of their heads like, oh, this is going to be one of those rounds, isn't it? But 10-7 now. Heroic string together rounds a little bit, or starting to string something together, trying to feel up the game. Zemanek pushed up towards Party. Aggressive stance from Sean as well, both trying to maybe make something happen for themselves. Play off each other. Amanek being not necessarily baited here, but there's a lot of firepower behind him. And Snappy isolates him by falling back.
1 gun down. Misfits with still the scout and the 3 pistol arrows. I like that Misfits come into this one with a bit of utility as well. At least can maybe block off a certain section, a certain push. Sean just misses the peak by a matter of seconds, and Nico gets the best of him because of exactly that. This is going to leave Sick isolated outside of Squeaky Door. Of course, the potential crossfire set, thanks to Devaduvic. But Heroic, very, very disciplined here. Not trying to charge forward, not anything whatsoever. 45 seconds on the clock. They're going to congregate towards the B site and just hope for these last 3 frags.
Modi could get, well, it's all timing, I guess, really. Could have got spotted then by Sick, and then that could have played in Devaduvic, but it didn't in the end. He's got to be careful now, Modi. Trying to clear this out quite cautiously, but down to 25 seconds. This is where things can actually go wrong. You leave limited time, it leaves limited time for adjustments, but Modi puts up a good fight. He does good damage. Devaduvic, no time for the reload. And Shazam gets slapped back. Heroic again, 4 alive, bomb plant as well. Good stuff money-wise, starting to build a bit in the bank. They know they can go for more now. They know they've done the hard reset pretty much towards Misfits, so they're down to that double eco, and they know it.
They've definitely given themselves a sheer advantage here in the 19th round. So we should be watching Heroic walk away with that 5-point lead. And it's tragic to think that this all comes off of a 1 pistol round by Misfits. Should have been them who converted their points into the clean start, and that's honestly what they needed. 6 of their rounds coming very early on in that opening half, and it's been Heroic ever since. But Misfits at least forcing themselves into short, looking for some kind of a fight. And at this point, Heroic, again, very disciplined in their approach, just hoping for some kind of a push over towards the A site. When they see nothing to present itself, they're just going to clear corners and further their control. But all these corners checked, they can start to fall back. The CTs come flooding forward, though. They're going to catch them off guard, but EasyTag able to just flick back, finds one, swaps to the Glock as Madi presents himself, just clearing up the bodies, and it is corpses on the side of Misfits. Devaduvic with a smidgen of health, and at least Aminek still on the full bar.
You could see them trying to pinch then in towards Modi as he was so low. Someone pretty cool, he was dinked, just try and chase him down, get that gun away, but Modi is hidden. He is in a really obnoxious spot. Look at this. You don't normally check this deep in towards it. Nope. And yeah, Modi gonna keep hold of the rifle again, and it's just Aminek just trying to find a way to make this costly, and any margin he can find is good, but look how cautious Heroic are. They're not taking any chance. Even if there's one player remaining, they are being absolutely methodical.
Vendetta touched upon this earlier this morning when we were discussing both KPI and Envious, in the sense that when you have a team who is an underdog situation, who can maybe start to walk away with a lead, you kind of see that fizzle out. They start to make mistakes, they start to fumble at certain hurdles. But Heroic are proving us, of course, that a team with a lead that is very seasoned in these sorts of situations is never going to leave that margin of error. They're never going to rush into the bomb site, potentially giving up a life or two. I mean, 5v1, full gun advantage, and they're walking to sites. It's very nice to see. Might not be flashy, but it certainly works, as now this is going to be 12-7.
But this is also just the brand of CS they play.
Yep.
That's good from Aminek to at least make it, you know, a little bit of something for them, you know, a small silver lining. But it is just the brand of CS. It's well-rounded, it's tactical, it's thought through, and it is very methodical. You're not kind of that fanatic phase brand. You're none of that. You're not even close to that. You have a lot of firepower. That's not what I'm disputing. It's the fact that you play a brand of CS that depends on you being like that. The moment you let that slip, the moment you play to your opponent's level rather than your own, that's when you get punished. And they know this as well. They're very well aware. They have a nice mentality, snappy at the helm again. Nade goes through, leading the way. Bit of a faster pace to take over this kind of middle control, I guess. The contested areas, they want it faster. Look at Modi's pace here. He is right in. Is no one facing this? Oh, there's one by barrels, but Sean is so unaware how that's even happened.
Madi just allowed for free to creep his way towards sandbags, and he's not going to stop here. He continues to try and puncture into the B site, and he will as he doubles down with a kill onto Sick. But this leaves the CTs all across the map. Shazam, boosted above, is able to at least swing it with one of his own. But again, Madi tagged heavily in his engagements. He's done a great job of opening up that B bomb site, and it's there that Heroic looked to pounce. Devaduvic towards site, fire by his side, and a smoke as well. Just attempting to find an angle.
Well, he's found one. It's a pretty slim margin to work with, isn't it? But then again, that's all you need. Connects towards Nico now, a 3v3, still very possible. 40 seconds on the board, though, plenty of time. Bomb yet not to be planted, of course, as Modi's watching the back, allowing for the play to come out. Yugi, the only one to really make it happen so far. But then again, he finds the follow-up, so everything starts to look good. But they're damaged, they're wounded, they're the walking wounded. As now Yugi and Modi try and make this work. Good flash, but they don't know it. But yeah, Modi found out in the end with the AWP in the back lines. But let's kind of throw back to the start of that round with what Modi did. This is something you see on maps like their T-side or Mirage, or you see in some of his other games. He plays a brilliant lurking role, but a very active one. He'll be on the opposite side of the map to the rest of his team. He'll find room, and he'll pressure. It's like when you watch Get Right play Cash on T-side, right? He plays B almost on his own. Sometimes he'll just kind of isolate players, pull rotates, be a real nuisance. Modi does it so well. He is so good at feeling out timing. Playing out of apps on Mirage is one of my favorite things that he does. You know, well, people to take him mid-control. He'll do that pressure. There's no one better to do it than Modi in my eyes.
I mean, years and years of experience on Madi's shoulders, as well as the fact that I mean, they touched upon it in the desk, Pimp bringing up, of course, that he's maybe very momentum-based. And we saw that momentum start to shift into gear on the first half. It has not slowed down. He is now at 22 frags here on the T side. When we switched over, he was par with Snappy. And now he almost has double that. So he's really turning up the heat here for Heroic, and as you said, with that very active lurking role, which is beautiful to watch. The way he has an understanding of the positioning from the CT side, prying and punching his way to the bomb sites. And yet again, just kind of creeping towards B right now, hoping to spot some kneecaps and to sweep them out from underneath the player that is sick with a CZ and a flashbang. A little bit of damage chipped away on 3 of the players now for Misfits, but they're just content with sitting in the bomb sites. They don't really have the chance to go for aggression because Heroic are definitely trying to keep them at bay. Not so much towards A, as now Heroic shift their attention back towards the B site. They've got, of course, the bomb outside of Monster, but Sean Gares is starting to rotate down, so Misfits understand this.
Yeah, this could be a bit of a problem from Heroic. I don't think they'd expect 4 players to be here, but we're going to find out how well they handle this as they're about to get themselves ready for this hit. The flashes come in, they're slowed down, they don't have the perfect approach, but yes, Tag going to find one. Modi with an absolute blistering shot towards Sick. And now the threat is the additional players they wouldn't expect. But by now, the firepower rings in true. But the time was very low there, down to the last 8 seconds, and now they get the plant.
Again, one of those moments where they're just playing a certain style of Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
It's 8 seconds, but it's a calculated 8 seconds.
But it's scary, though. Things can go wrong when you're against this.
Like you alluded to earlier, there's just so little room to adjust on the fly. All it takes is for a single CT to go unchecked, a single corner camper to reveal himself, drop the bomb, and then you see Heroic have to scramble. But because they're so methodic in clearing their corners and not making those mistakes, they manage to make it pay off. So 14-7, doubling the score of Misfits and putting them on the doorstep of victory. It's a full buy on both sides and an op as well.
Not surprised at a lack of tactical timeout, but maybe you don't need tactics, you need to rush mid. That's what they go for, at least. It doesn't really get them far, but Shazam's pushed up on long as well. Sean Gares keeps playing in through by the fountain, but where's Modi finding success? He's already out on B. The bomb's in spawn, though. That's the big problem. It doesn't matter how much Modi does unless someone else can help him. He's still getting tagged here. Sick is just not having a good time. He does win the fight in the end. And the Sag tries to do something, but no. Nice aggression coming in from Misfits, finally making a bit of a switch up here. But as I was saying, I'm surprised there hasn't been a tactical timeout called or something for Misfits to maybe just discuss things through, because you're at 8-14. You need to make a change, but again, their money has been pretty poor. It's been hard for them to actually find an ample opportunity.
Of course, Heroic, with such a commandeering T-side, have plenty of cash left in their coffers, so it is the full reinvestment. Again, that op for Yugi. Shazam, hanging on to his towards bathrooms, is just hoping that a terrorist presents himself, but instead they present smoke grenades, and well, he can't see through those. So he will just decide to reposition further back, allowing Amanek to get aggressive. Now, Shaz holds this cross, and off of his shot, Amanek might wide swing, but there's so many terrorists here. The further smoke will prevent the numbers. Yugi's posted on the angle, and that's a fantastic 5v4 for Heroic to play off of.
They've got decent map control. Lovely reply from Shazam. He doesn't even see it, but just spamming down the lines, expecting someone closer than they are, but now they have encroached. They've crept their way up. The molly goes in. Nico finds Sean. Shaz is still trying to find a way out of this through the fire and the flames. The T's need to cross as Nico is kicking off. 2 players now stand for Misfits to try and deny that match point. Sitting towards the opponent, 4v2.
Shazam has just been completely nullified in this round thanks to the utility. I mean, the initial smoke grenade on Long blocks him off, leaves it untradeable on Amanek. Molotovs then push him into the bank. Smoke grenade then blocks off that angle. I mean, poor Shazam, he was constantly prying for some kind of a kill, and it was just never given to him because, again, of those grenades. So excellently done by Heroic, completely countering not just his positioning, but the entirety of Misfits. They clear out the A bomb site, they get their plant, they get all 5 kills, and they leave Misfits deflated in what could be the final round of this map. It is the 24th, and it's going to be limited in the form of firearms for Misfit. They have, of course, the FAMAS and the UMP, the 3 CZs, and a nice chunk of utility, but obviously not all they could ask for.
It's a bit of a shame it's kind of come down to this point. Heroic have really shown the depth they have on the T side, and sadly for Misfits, they haven't quite been able to keep up on the CT side yet. And by now, it's 15-8. You got to feel that first half was very competitive between these two, but now it's back to the wall CS for Misfits. A bit of aggression came through, it worked before, but maybe not again. No, Modi almost destroyed it before it began. Devaduvek just about gets away with his life. 22 HP is all he has to work with.
Shazam encroaching towards Connector, gonna duel off versus EC Tag. That's Heroic with another gunfight won. and another man advantage. Now, of course, Devaduvic, having been tagged down early on, is going to retreat, and his life is more valuable than the others just based on the utility here. He hangs on to all that remains, the smoke and double flash. If he could set Amanek up for some kind of a peek, some kind of a push, then maybe they find the 3v3, but instead they section things off with that smoke, and this will allow for Amanek to get slightly more aggressive. Again, just a little flashbang around this corner could blind Snappy and allow Amanek to push, but then again, man disadvantage, Heroic on game point. You don't want to take this risk. He tries for it, but he spots no one in the process.
No, and this is pretty confusing for Misfits. Amanek knows he's got to play into it. The flash came out. Great job from him. Takes down Snappy, but Nico's there. Devaduvic strikes once, and that's it. Taking Airstag down. Now, Sick, a 1v2. Gotta do it, or it's GG. Sick, how deep can you go on this one? Nico and Yugi against him. No kit either. It's just firepower. He's got to go fast as well, and he knows it. The challenge begins once he crests this corner. On the other side, the first man to do it's Yugi, and he will succeed. Heroic takes strides in the right direction once they go on that T side.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from them. I mean, again, considering that we see 6 rounds from Misfits in the opening 9 rounds of the game, slow start from Heroic. Of course, calculate in the fact that they got that hard reset against them. They certainly bounce back and honestly continue their form from Cologne. This looked great from Heroic. They completely outclassed Misfits, especially in comparison to the BO3 we saw at Tours. Misfits just coming up empty-handed after that initial bout.
Yeah, you've got to think for Heroic, as said, the event in Cologne was a massive event for them, so they are still very focused, still very close to peaking performance. So for them, it's not that surprising that they've come in really hot in this one. Whereas Misfits, they've had a rocky road, haven't they? They've not exactly had the easiest time. Roster changes, a couple of issues here and there. But hopefully for them, this is a bit of a wake-up call. They can kind of refresh themselves going back in, down the line. But all said and done, Heroic looks scary to play against, especially with that map pool beside them as well. And
we have to remember, of course, that at the same time, Misfits, when they were playing in Tours, lost their opening game versus Na'Vi. They go down to the losers decider game, and they go all the way back to make it through the decider match and get into the playoffs. So we can't count them out just yet. Yeah. It's obviously going to take time for them to kind of, re-gel as a unit. But one thing that we definitely saw from Heroic was an amazing amount of team play. How many times does Yugi get set up in a position to succeed with also a teammate nearby? Yep. How many times do we see Heroic not just rotate one player down, but the entirety of their team? It was just so cohesed that it was beautiful to watch, and they clearly assert themselves here.
Yeah, and I hope the Misfits, again, kind of just go back and look over what happened on that final half, because their first half was great. That was the thing, it was so competitive, so well-rounded. I thought we were on for like a, OT sort of matchup, but then, Hero kicked into gear, and it sadly wasn't quite to the same part. But yeah, they certainly have a good T-side. I like it, I like the way it looks, but still, maybe a little more. Shazam was a little muted on occasion, which was a bit of a shame. He had a couple of moments in the sun, don't get me wrong, but I just wanted to see a little bit more from him, because I know you know what he can do. That's the thing. It's like once you see him in that sort of spotlight, you kind of want to see him there again. So hopefully we get to see that down the line.
I think that some operas can also kind of feel stifled on Overpass in the sense that those smoke grenades can allow the closing of the distance. I mean, I immediately think of the way Misfits won that pistol round just using the 2 walls of smoke.
That was horrible to watch.
Oh.
It's just...
So poor operas in those situations can just be overwhelmed, and I think Shazam in this case was exactly that. So unfortunately for him, you're right, he doesn't have that space to really shine through.
Not yet.
And nobody really on Misfits did. No. Not in comparison to Heroic. I mean, Snappy had a great start. Maudie was by his side, and then once those 2 players really kind of led the charge, Maudie just shifts into overdrive.
Yeah, we are just waiting on the interview. In a moment's time, we'll be jumping down to here from Stunner. We will miss Stunner. Stunner, please come back to us. Find us a player to talk to, because we just want to see your face. And hopefully you don't have to, be the bodyguard anymore. You can just do your normal job. That would be nice, wouldn't it? But yeah, there's still a lot to be seen today. We start getting into the kind of later games. I think coming up next, is it NIP against Ridge Reserve?
Yeah, the second domestic derby.
Yeah, but how fun is it that now Michael Ailey gets to play against NIP? That's a storyline that I'm excited to watch. We're kind of done for now, though. So how's it been so far?
I think this went fantastically.
It's been pretty good.
I've been having a great time with you, Lauren.
Very nice. I'm glad. It's nice that you lie while the camera's on. We can get we can just go our separate ways afterwards. Be like that.
We'll duke it out in the green room.
That's it. I don't know where this interview is. How is it? Starter, what's going on? How are you? Are you on the struggle bus? What's happening, buddy? I see you on. He's having a walk. Hopefully he's all right. But yeah, all in all, we've had some great first 3 games. Oh, hold on. Stunner is ready for us. Ladies and gents, let's not keep him waiting. We know how aggressive this man can get if anyone challenges him with a microphone in hand. So guys, let's head down to the stage.
Hey, you know what? Thanks, Lauren. I left all that behind me in Cologne as if it never happened. Now I'm standing here on the sidelines with Snappy. These guys coming hot off a W over the Misfits. Talk to me a little bit about the team's outlook on the Misfits going into the matchup today.
Sorry, what?
Talk to me about your team's outlook on Misfits going into today's matchup.
Actually, we didn't expect Overpass, but it ended up here. We struggled a little bit on CT, but we know that our strongest weapon on Overpass is T. So I think they looked good, but I think we won the crucial rounds, and that's why it ended the way it did.
Talk to me a little bit more about this T-side approach. I mean, it feels like that was definitely your strong side.
Yeah, it's always been our strong side. I think we got a lot of... we really know how to take map control as T, and Overpass is all about map control because it's... You have to take so much map control that it's different from other maps. So if you got that under control, then you can play Overpass T, I guess.
Well, Madi had an awesome game here. You guys will be going up against KPI later today. How important is it for Madi to show up?
I think it's good because I know that Madi hasn't been so happy about his performance and the way we played lately. So I think it's really good for him to have a positive game again. And I think this is gonna like elevate his play for the rest of the tournament because I know how good he can be. And when he's on point, he basically do so many entry frags that makes it really easy for me to call. So I hope he keeps this level.
Absolutely. Congratulations on your W. I'm going to throw it back to the boys at the desk who are probably eagerly standing by to break this thing down.
Thanks so much, Stunner. We are very eager to break that down. Guys, strong start from Misfits, but was it a case of a strong start from Misfits, or was it just the fact that Heroic didn't turn up on CT at the beginning?
Okay, I'm kind of glad you asked that because the way Misfits actually get into that first half and, at all is because somehow Heroic they have 5 individuals with every shot possible versus pretty much a clean eco. There was P250s and that was it. Yeah, I think honestly it was more on Heroic not hitting a single shot during that third round than anything else. So yeah, like the numbers might look great for Misfits up to the point where they lead 6-3, but after that I think we kind of normalized in the sense that we saw Heroic actually getting into their own. Again, we talked about Snappy being one of those in-game leaders who can frag more often than not. He was a vital part really of that turnaround for the Danish side as well. And it's perfect that you brought up Madi in the pregame and how he's kind of a momentum player because once he turned it on, it felt like pretty much game over at that point because every round started with Madi finding either 1 or 2 kills at one of the bomb sites and just, again, like Snappy mentioned, making his life so easy in terms of calling what to do.
Yeah, did you see, apparently in the interview, Madi has had maybe some lack of positivity, but after that performance, Jacob, would you say that he should be on top of the world now?
Yeah, he should be, but that's not like, I know Madi very well. I played with him for half a year, and he is, as I said, like he's probably the most momentum player in the whole game. When he goes off, he really goes off. But when he's unhappy about something and when he's not performing, he let it shine through his in game as well.
You can see there he's ahead of the pack across both teams.
It's insane, and having an RDR on 114, that's insane. Over so many rounds. So Madi, it's great to see him turn up, and if I know Madi right, yes, this is something that can kickstart his tournament. Because the thing with Madi, it's usually in streaks. If you have 1 good map, then he makes it 2, 3, 4 good map. He makes it a good tournament and 2 good tournaments. But then he hit some sort of low point, and then he starts all over. So it's like momentum. If you hit Madi when he's the best, then Hero can be I would say a top 10 team in the world. But they require Madi to be more consistent and more steady in that. That's like a big, I wouldn't say it's a big problem, but it's something that he can at least get better at. Staying positive, staying and it's more towards himself. It's not that he's a bad teammate at all. It's more like it gets to himself, it gets inside his head when he doesn't perform. So if he can work on that and he can be more consistent, then I see Hero go very far with this lineup.
What now for Misfits? Because they're going to be disappointed with that performance. We expected more of them coming into this first match. What now for them? What are they going to be talking about?
Well, I guess you kind of have to realize the fact that when you're going up against Heroic and you end up on Overpass as well, you're not necessarily going into being favored. The veto hasn't gone your way. I think that's going to be something that's slightly different in their second game. Again, it's going to be a best of 3 as well, so they're going to have more opportunities to actually flush things out. So again, I wouldn't hang my head down too low if I'm Misfits at this point as well. And again, we alluded to it before the game started. it is kind of a reignited startup period for them because they kind of have to start again from scratch, getting accustomed to each other, playing in a LAN environment because they've had so many changes that eventually led back to the starting point all over again. So yeah, I wouldn't be too worried for them.
And so Heroic go through now to play against KPI, right? So they're going to be relatively happy about that, even though KPI are coming off the high of a win. They are still the underdog in this tournament. Through that, now that they have what they will deem as an easier road towards the semi-finals, could we see them go all the way, Heroic, now?
Potentially, I'd say so. Like, they're one of the teams that I have as an outsider for this event. I definitely see them go into a final if the other group plays out as expected and NIP goes out first as well. It depends, though. And then again, like let's not assume that Heroic already won against KPI because they can't play Counter-Strike. They showed it against Envious, and it's like I know how cocky us players can be when we see KPI. Okay, this is like a winner's game. It's an easy way through. I know how Heroic thinks and how they feel right now because I've been there myself. But it's also dangerous, because it sometimes bites you in the ass and you get overconfident and you get too cocky, and KPI they showed they can play. So
yeah, we've already seen Envious potentially underestimate KPI, and if Heroic do that too, then yeah, it could be disastrous.
That's the thing, like Heroic have for sure not prepared for KPI either. They prepared for Envious, and they played Envious 2 days ago in the Malmö qualifier, and they have had their head on a rematch against Envious the whole day if they were to win against Misfits. So they can play in as a factor when we see them go up against each other later.
Yeah, no, I think the one benefit that Heroic has going into it is, again, map pool. It becomes a bit of a broken record in that sense, but it is such a massive advantage to have. So, I wouldn't expect to see Train pop up again. I don't think they're going to allow KPI to play that, and because of that, I think Heroic are going to be fairly confident going into even though we've seen KPI do well versus MB. Also, the fact that KPI, again, they couldn't necessarily bank on the fact that Heroic would beat Misfits. So they don't necessarily have the same preparation as they did for their opening game versus Envy, who they knew they were playing for a long time.
I have a surprise for you both.
Really?
I have a surprise.
What?
Because I have some secret information that has not been put into the world yet that we can now announce live on the stream. The next week, as you know, and you guys at home will know, that DreamHack Atlanta is coming up. It's the next stop on the ASTRO Open, and now we can announce officially all 8 teams that will be at DreamHack Atlanta on your screen right now. There you go.
Heroic, Misfits, so 2 of the, actually 3 of the teams who are here already. We feed group in Envious as well. Renegades, who, if I'm not mistaken, beat Liquid to qualify from Malmö 2 days ago as well. Hellraiser's Energy, Godsent, and Binary Dragons.
What are your initial thoughts on that lineup?
It looks solid. It looks like even again, It looks like all the teams can pretty much beat each other, so it's going to be an interesting tournament for sure.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's also to point out, it's also pretty much 7 teams that are right now trying to find their identity and trying to find their place in the world right now. None of them are consistent a top 10 team right now, so winning a tournament like that could kickstart something for them.
Also very cool to see Binary Dragons making it through the qualifiers, obviously, and it's going to be, I think it's pretty safe to say that that's going to be the first big tournament internationally for them as well. I think it's 5 Serbs, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And I also think the cousin of Nico is playing in that team as well.
Really?
Yeah, so there might be some future prodigy.
Family feud.
Yeah, well, there might be some future prodigy there, right? Just waiting to burst out onto the scene. So that should be really fun to watch as well.
Yeah, great. You guys at home can find out more about DreamHack Atlanta by going to our website, and you can also buy tickets. That was all on your screen a moment ago. Thank you guys for analysing that match. We're going to go into match 4 very soon, but first we'll take a commercial break. So stick with us. We'll be back soon.